Okay, good morning, members and guests, to today's licensing hearing. Can I, first of all, do the election of chairperson? Is there any?
I nominate Councillor McDonald.
I second that.
Okay, thank you very much. So that makes me the chair today. Thank you very much for that. Is there any apologies for absence? No apologies. Can I agree the record of the meeting that we last held on Tuesday, the 10th of December, please? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. I have no urgent matters by reason of special circumstance. Are there any declarations of disposable pecuniary interests or other significant interests on the agenda today for members?
None.
None. Which means I can allow you to leave, Councillor Sands. Thank you so much for coming this morning. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Thanks very much. We now move on to item 6, which is the full variation application for a premises licence at Greedy Bank 89 to 93 High Street, Rainham. I suppose I'm going over to you, Franco, am I for that? Am I moving the exclusion now, Nicola?
You can do that at the end anyway.
It doesn't make...
Just for the decision making.
Okay. So we'll leave it at that. Over to you, Franco. Actually, let's introduce ourselves first. It'd be easier for you seeing all these people in front of you. Welcome. Would you like to start with you, Joe?
Good morning.
Sorry about that, in case you couldn't hear me. I'm Councillor Barry Kemp. I'm Conservative member of this committee representing Rainham South West Ward.
Nicola, Couchman, Democratic Services, and I'm here to keep a record of the meeting.
I'm Franco Di Fazio, Senior Licensing Officer. I know we've met. I'm here just to present the application.
Kyle Rogers, Legal Advisor to the panel. Jamie Clark, I'm the DPS of Greedy Banker.
Thank you. Just your guest review, or did you want to just introduce yourselves? Sorry, Dan.
Rachel Clark, I'm one of the company directors of Beer and Fees, which owns the Greedy Banker.
And I'm Thomas Mudge. I'm one of the directors as well.
Thank you. Can I just check with the applicant? You've got all the paperwork that we've been given, so you've got everything in front of you as well. And can I just check that you do know how I'm going to chair this? You've got the sheet. Brilliant. So that we can keep in time. Okay, over to you then, Franco, to outline the application, please.
Turn that on. Yep. Okay. Licensing Services received an application on the 8th of November from Jamie Clark for a full variation of the premises licence at the Greedy Banker, 89 to 93 High Street, Rainham. And just to clarify, the application is to... I'm going to be very specific here because I want to make sure that it's clearly understood. To extend the footprint of the outside High Street area by including a strip of curtilage to the outside seating area to encompass both entrance doors. This will allow the patrons to access the seating area without breaching condition 21. Now, just for the purposes of the visuals, on the additional map that I've provided, if you will see on my left, there is a plan, and there's an additional strip which goes the whole length. Under the current premises licence, that strip doesn't go far enough. So one of the doors isn't on the licensed area, which means patrons aren't allowed to use the furthest away door to use the seating area. So it's an academic addition, in effect, just to avoid breaching the licence, condition 21. So I just wanted to bring that across. That's the first one. The second change is also to extend the licensable area, but this time it's upstairs in the cocktail bar. There's been a removal of a partitioning wall, so in essence, the licensable area upstairs has been extended to accommodate a few extra patrons. And again, it is on the plans, and if we see the second image, there is a bar which is now in place. That if that can be seen, it's on the bottom edge. It's probably a third of the way along. And in order to get a better perspective, I'm sorry, this is really complicated. It's the only way I can actually explain it. And if we actually go on to page 8, which contains the current plans,
Just checking, it's not page 8 on our pack.
okay,
18.
Trying to work out what page on our pack was.
18.
18.
Forgive me, I'm looking at the page on the actual licence. So, I've superimposed one on, and I don't know if you can see this, where the bar is on the individual sheet of paper, that corresponded to what was a wall on the old one. Yep. So that's that one. In addition to that, the third point is there is a condition 11, that limits the provision of alcohol to 6.5% or below, and that is a condition which the applicant would like to remove, and hence that restriction no longer be in place. If I may also just speak to Jamie, to yourself, I'd like clarification on one point. On your current licence, so that would be, for example, on page 11, under the section, it says the sale of retail of alcohol. You'll notice that there, for the Super Bowl, you have the current timing is up until 3:30. I note on your current application that's been extended to 4 o'clock. Now,
It's just in part where it allows us 3:30. It allows us half an hour of drinking up time.
sure.
Yeah.
On the application that you have made, you have made no reference to that being an additional change on the application.
Okay, so that may have been a mistake.
I just wanted some clarification.
Sorry, just to keep us all in, Franco, just to keep us all in line here, if you pick up some of these, it's quite confusing at the moment. So just to keep us, for you to question, you can question when you come to the questioning part, that clarification, unless it's something not clear on our papers today. So is it not clear on our paper today that we're looking at? Kyle?
I think, if I'm understanding correctly, that's the point of the question at this stage, is to clarify whether it is. If it assists, in my view, it forms part of the paperwork. It's been properly advertised. Objections could have been raised. It's a matter you can deal with today.
So we're not sure if it's been advertised properly or that. So is that what we're thinking, Franco? Is that what we're asking about, that clarity?
To some degree, yes, Chair. I just my point in short really is the fact that on I was wondering whether it was a typo, in which case we could go back to the 3:30.
I'm going to bring us to that page, Franco, just for the clarity moment here. So just remember,
Yes. So on the premises licence itself, which is the current hours, this is page 11, page 11 on your pack, page 1 of the licence.
Okay, yeah.
If we look at the paragraph that says the sale of retail of alcohol, as you go down one to the third line, it says Super Bowl event, 09 to 03:30 hours. The purpose of the application and the reason we are here is to consider those items identified in the box which is on page 20 of your pack. So I just really wanted to bring to your attention is that is basically the main focus of the application, but then in amongst the detail there has also been a slight change to the Super Bowl hours till 4 o'clock. So it's...
So just for clarity, Carl, sorry about that. Just for clarity, this hasn't been advertised though, right, till 4 o'clock? But are you asking for 4 o'clock? But have we only advertised the free?
We've got an application. This application was circulated to responsible authorities, so that they would have been able to consult on this if they wanted.
Okay.
So can I just can I just bring you in? Sorry. So the advertising purposes, we've already advertised to 3:30. That's correct. Not 4.
So 3:30 is the current position. My understanding is that these papers were circulated to all responsible authorities, and within those papers it included the request for it to be 4 o'clock, whilst not specifically mentioned at the start.
I'm just checking, Carl, with the and Franco with the applicant. You're saying you're happy with 3:30, which is the advertised time. Yeah. So I don't. So
In which case,
do we need to complicate it to go to 4 a.m?
I think what we were trying to do was like a 30-minute drink up time, not sell alcohol in that time. Because Super Bowl, it's an American sport, it could go on forever. But we've done plenty now, and they're done by about 3:30. So yeah, we won't have a problem at 3:30. We're just being responsible in the fact that people may be on the site in that time, and we didn't want to kick people out while the event's still going on. But that's the sale of alcohol. We can stop selling alcohol at 3:30.
I mean, our legal team are correct. We can still make a decision on that today. So it's about whether you're sticking. I suppose what Franco's helping you is whether you're sticking to 3:30 or whether you're keeping it at 4. I mean, at 4 a.m. You know,
If I may, Mr. Clark, the issue I suppose that I'm just putting out there is that you've said we're going to do X, Y, and Z, but then you've done something else in addition, but you haven't made that very, very clear, so it may have been overlooked. So the question is if you do want the 4 o'clock, then do we then need to consider that as an independent matter and hence another variation at some point in the future, or can it be included in today's hearings? That's the problem that we face, and we're not, you know, so...
Sorry, I'm going to jump in again. I'm very unclear of just for you as the applicant, we don't normally do this until we get to questioning, but this is for clarity purposes at the beginning. Franco, what has the applicant done different compared to what we've got in front of us then? Have you said to other people that it's 4 a.m. or have you said to others you'd like 4 a.m. but we're saying 3:30? Or we need some clarity as members here. So where are we at with, because we have an application that's been advertised that our Democratic Service Officer advertised everywhere. Everyone's viewed this and seen 3:30. They haven't seen 4 a.m. Objectors or others. So statutory body's fine, but objectors, I'm just confused why we've got a 4 a.m. and a 3:30 floating around.
Can we make this easier by just going with 3:30?
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you find it difficult going on, then you can easily come back for a
I
quick-
can do a minor yeah.
Let's clear that. Carry on, Franco, if you need.
A plan has been circulated outlining the new layout in with the application. The responsible authorities have been contacted and the public notices have been advertised in accordance with the regs at the premises, the council webpage and in the local press, and the application can be found at Appendix B of the report. On the 4th of December, Licensing Services received a representation to the variation application in relation to the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective. And this was from the Neighbourhood Watch Coordinator. The representation can be found at Appendix C of the report. I understand that the objector will not be attending the hearing. The licensing hearing panel is asked to consider the information in this report and decide the outcome of the full variation application with one of the following options: grant the application as applied for, amend the application, add conditions to the premises licence, and refuse the application. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Frank. Can I ask Jamie and the applicants, would you like to respond? Would you like to come through with your support for the reasons for your application? And I would advise probably is if you can bring up some of the points that the Neighbourhood Watch person has put in, that'd be really helpful at this stage.
Yeah, so early in June we met, Franco came round recently. Sorry, there we go. Early in June, Franco came round with police around the Euros, and we had a discussion over our premises licence. We obviously explained that we were changing upstairs, and he advised us a few points, mainly that front entrance, how someone leaving through the main doors and then going into the lustful area would be breaking our licence, basically. Off the back of that discussion, it was put forward that we would do a major variation. At the time, we were turning our top floor. We're trying to make use of the space in the building, and we were turning the top floor into what would be like a cocktail lounge Friday, Saturday night, and then like a rentable space or like a community space throughout the week, basically. We removed a partition wall, mainly off the back of a fire risk assessment from our fire guys that said it would bottlenose people through a single entrance. So the main reason we took that wall down, it wasn't to increase capacity or anything, it was to make it safe that should there be a fire, people can come out. So it was a safety issue that got brought to us. So at great expense, we removed the wall and made all good. So yeah, I think the difference was in the layout upstairs. That room was still there, and the bar actually sits in that room. So we could have left the wall up, but it would have been dangerous from a fire perspective to leave that wall up. So that came down. We're also a craft beer bar. Craft beer is normally more of a premium beer. It has a higher price tag. And the thing with craft beer, it goes from probably 2% up to, you can get some like imperial beers, which can go up to 9-10%. By not having the beers over 6.5%, we're really limiting the range we can offer our clients that come in. We run quite a successful craft beer bar in Rochester, where we sell beers of all different strengths without any issues, and we've done that for 6 years now, and in our experience those beers carry a much higher price range, and you are not going to get someone that's going to sit there and have multiples of them. They would probably have one if they were going to have anything. They tend to come in smaller volumes as well.
Share them as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Come in and try different.
Yes, it's more of a craft thing. So they have never really caused us any issues in our venues. So that's why we've asked for that to be removed, just so we can increase our range, because it does limit our business quite a bit. Obviously, since Franco came out and told us about the front entrance, we've had to ensure our doormen use the other entrance. And the problem that's created is that our bar can't keep an eye on the doormen, and they can't keep an eye on what's going on outside. And that led to us receiving the only noise complaint we've ever received, where we had an event on. And we'll be completely honest, it was a brand new doorman that we hadn't had before. It was a bar manager who, she was on her last chance on that evening. She didn't do our processes. Our processes are to, when we have live music, ensure all the doors and windows are shut, other than people coming in and out. Go into so where we're situated over the road is another pub, the Cricketers, and then there's a massive car park, and then you've got your first houses. So for every event, we go into the car park and we see if we can hear the music. If we hear it, we tell them to turn it down, and if we don't hear it, we continue. That wasn't carried out on that night from that manager. And where the doorman had moved down to the other door, they couldn't see that the doorman had actually propped
the door open. It was a DJ that came in with his own sound system as well, which we've now kind of semi-banned because he brought over a bigger sound system. So we got this complaint via Facebook the next morning, and straight away we jumped on it. We put a closer on the doors, on all doors, super strength closers, so when someone does come in, the door closes quickly. A doorman can't prop it open. We've changed our process that every doorman has a briefing. We complained to the security company. We asked the security company not send us that doorman again. And we've now made it a stipulation for all our staff. If I'm not there to do it, they are to record their sound check in the car park and then send it to us for us to approve. So it now gets recorded. So we have proof that our staff are now doing those sound checks. And we never received a complaint beforehand, that event. That event was just one of those nights where a lot of things went wrong. We jumped on it, we've put things in place, we've learnt from it, and we've not had a complaint since. Then obviously we've read this that's come in, but they've said they've reported several times to licensing and us. I think licensing had a complaint in April time, I believe. But they spoke to us and we couldn't determine if it was us or one of the other pubs because we all had live music on that night. We also didn't get any information other than the phone calls, so we didn't get any evidence to suggest anything, so we couldn't see if it was us that had caused that. So that could have just been something in the town centre. But they put several. I've done a freedom of information request to the noise complaints department here, and they've said they've had 0 complaints. We've had one recorded complaint, and then there was that loose one that went into licensing that we're not sure if it was us or not. So I don't think there is an issue, personally. I think we just had a bad night, which we've put a load of stuff in place off the back of it, and it stopped any further issues. By us extending that area out the front, that gives us a lot more control of the noise if there was to be an issue, because our bar staff can easily see instantly if a doorman's holding the door open or if there's people congregating and whatnot. It also spreads people along that strip where you're confining a group of people to one small space, they talk over each other, whereas if we build it out through across that space, we should rule that out. So I think the changes we're putting in is going to help the complaint more than not, because we're also going to have people upstairs, which is far away from outside as possible. All our windows are wired shut, so none of them can be open, so no windows will be open upstairs. And it's going to create a calming atmosphere upstairs. It's like soft music, cocktails, that kind of thing. So I think the changes we're putting in is actually going to help what they're complaining about more than anything else.
Okay. Members, any questions at all? Councillor Elcroft-Scott.
Yes, just for clarity, thank you for putting the door stoppers in and being robust. Do you have air conditioning at your place? You do, so there's no need for windows or doors to be open. So why do you think that was the case that evening then?
It was the first time we had that doorman, and I don't think he was briefed correctly, personally, but I think it was quite a busy evening, and he was letting people in and out, and he felt it was probably easier to prop the door open. I was told that when one of the bar staff saw and he'd done that, they told him not to do that, but then he continued. And that I think that was the sole reason why that happens. The aircon, all the live music happens literally below the aircon. So there's no reason to go outside to get cold, basically, or warm, because the aircon does heat as well. So there's no reason to leave the area for that, other than smoking, basically.
And if I may, Chair, is it okay to ask another question?
Yeah, no.
Do you have a sort of duty manager line that you could perhaps give to the local residents, or especially the sort of neighbourhood watch people, that if they are troubled and concerned, that would go to the duty person to address in that instant? Because I understand you've done the freedom of information request, but as an experienced counsellor, I know that complaints could have been made to the Safer Streets team, they could have just been made to the community police, PCSOs, and all of that would not be on your freedom of information request, sadly.
Basically, our duty managers, so we don't have phone lines in our pubs, and we're not willing to put one in. But we do use social media, and we have live chat on our websites. Our duty managers are all linked up to that. So if you were to message us of an evening, you would, within 10 to 15 minutes, we'll get a response. But no one's ever messaged us. No one's ever come round to complain. No, the message we got was next day. They didn't message us at the time. So we've never had that. I think the complaint is over-egged a little bit. I don't think there has been these numerous complaints. I think the one we've had has been next day, and then obviously they're part of a neighbourhood watch, and they've come together to put forward the thing. I'd seen no evidence of anything further, but yeah.
With all due respect, as a former head teacher, I always looked at complaints as areas for development, and you need to be solution focused about not having the complaint again, really, in my opinion. Thank you.
And Jamie, just before I hand over to Councillor Kim, it's just because the objector's not here, I just want to say in fairness to objectors, they are allowed to put a complaint forward, and one complaint could be enough to call you in. So I just want to make that clear, you know, even though the objector's not here, and you're, of course you have your view, and you've put that forward with the noise complaints, but Councillor Scott is correct, there could be other complaints going on around that community, but just not to the council, not to the relevant bodies. But I have to be fair, you don't have to come back on it. I have to be fair, just because the objector's not here, we do say to people they can object to something going on in licensed premises if they feel it's wrong. Just for fairness there, because they might be watching online. Councillor Kemp.
Hiya. Okay, right. A question and an observation. On this proposed ground floor plan, you've got camera 7 and camera 8. Does that cover the whole of that outside area?
Yeah, yes it does.
Okay. And secondly, regarding the Super Bowl events, presumably you're not going to have people jigging and dancing on the outside while the Super Bowl's going on at 3 o'clock in the morning, are you?
No, Super Bowl's the most tamest event ever.
And the other is an observation. I'm the ward councillor for Rainham South West, which is the other side of the road to you. And I have good working relationships with a number of neighbourhood watches there. And believe me, if there's a complaint, they always contact me. But I have to say I have not heard any complaints from the gatekeeper case people at all. So that was just an observation, Chair, if I may. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Just a few quick questions from me. Following straight on from Councillor Scott, I know you're saying about you don't have an access point for residents to come forward, and I can understand it. You don't want phone calls while your staff are doing what they're supposed to be doing, or people enjoying themselves. It's just an observation from me, I suppose, that not all residents, especially of a certain age, are on social media. Not all residents are able to go on to that platform. And I'm not asking you to open up like a customer care centre, etc., but it might be about rethinking the element of how people can contact you, whether it's a comment card or whether it's something. So if I was to come into you now, Jamie, if I come in to your pub tomorrow morning and said to you, I've got a complaint, how would that be dealt with by the staff in that pub right now? If I walked into to the premises we're talking about now and said, last night I found it unacceptable, can you tell me the process of what would happen if I'm Mr. Smith walking in? What would then happen?
So we're generally on site during the day. So if we're on site, then we would go speak to them straight away. If we're not on site, the person would record the details and that would get passed to us instantly. And then we would get in contact straight away. I think we're really upset that there was a complaint on that evening, and we hit back straight. We replied straight away to the person apologising, and straight away that day we put all that process in place, and it stopped all future complaints. So we do take complaints for improvement, basically.
Yeah, it's just an observation following on from that, because if this licence is agreed, when there's a change in hours or a change in hours of a pub, even you'd be surprised even from other premises, when they say you've changed, there could be a bit of a spike, and it might be something to keep an eye on during that time, just to make sure you do listen to that local community. As Councillor Kemp said, there hasn't been many complaints, but you want to be involved as a local business anyway, I would say. With the cocktail bar, I know you're telling me, I know it is quite a niche audience in a craft beer pub. Am I allowed to call it a pub? Yeah, craft beer pub. The cocktail bar would change that though, right? So the cocktail bar audience will change the way that you work. So you won't be having... I'm not saying the two clienteles are terribly different, but you know you will attract two different audiences into the place, won't you? Which means that you're going to have to watch that, because the alcohol content of cocktails can change people's behaviour quite quickly, compared to, as you're the experts, you would know about craft beer.
Yeah, I think we're taking a more crafted route again with the cocktails, like we do with the beer. So with the beer, for example, they're really artisan beers, and it does avoid a certain type of crowd. The cocktails we're not looking to do, with all due respect, like the Weatherspoon kind of model. We're trying to go like a bit more of a higher end model, and
Like an experience. Right?
yeah, more of a cocktail experience. What we're finding is a lot of our clientele downstairs, they're like, this is great because I can drink downstairs and my partner can drink upstairs. And I think that's the kind of thing that we're trying to push.
And there's no space for large groups upstairs either. It's tables of two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I was thinking about like sort of, you know, bookings of like 40
Yeah.
people coming in having it. Okay.
We offered something quite different that Rainham never had, and we're looking to do the same again with the upstairs, basically.
Can I just ask about just quickly about the community space? So you said about a community space. Is that a licensed community space, or will that just be a during the day thing? Because obviously that's an event area. So could you just explain a little bit more about when you say that it's more of a community space? What do you mean by that?
So like we're looking to use it for Cocktail Friday and Saturday, and then a rentable space for people to rent, or we want to put on like small stuff for the community. So we've had some talks with some like art people to do some arts and crafts, and we want to try and build it out from there. There's no in that area other than the hall and the church. I don't think there's many places we can rent like small rooms to do things. So we felt it would offer something.
I mean, it was just a query on that, really, making sure that if you had a community, you still operate your licensing procedures anyway, but depending on what community groups you rent it to, you don't want them saying, can we go over 11 on a weekday, can we go longer? Because even that's a private event, we wouldn't want to start involving that happening, because it could be an issue for you moving forward. My last one will be, as you're sure I'm going to ask as the chair, is about the alcohol level rise. You know, we do have a big issue with alcohol, and it's if people coming into you and taking out as well, because that's an issue for us with the alcohol problem that we have, especially in the Medway towns, especially in Gillingham and Rainham. I didn't look at you, Councillor Kemp, for that, but I looked at you because of Rainham. I didn't look at you because of the alcohol content.
Thank you for that clarification.
Don't panic. Yeah, don't panic. It's just about your limits on that. So, because we have areas within Gillingham and Rainham, and I'll come back to Frank on it, because we have areas in Gillingham and Rainham that are alcohol-free zones, we don't want them walking out with high levels of alcohol in our streets. Are you saying you'd like it wide open, for the 6.5, like to take them right out, or is there a level? What's the highest percentage of beer that you can serve behind that counter, or sell to take out behind the counter?
I mean, like, very rarely you could get like an imported, American.
Yeah.
But
they're quite. Sorry, could I just quick? It's quite. The way that we see it is, it's not like a beer, like as if you would like. Oh, sorry, it's not like a beer like you would like say. I'm trying to think like where you see people drinking on the street, like your Kestrel or your cans of K-side, you know, like that you see like a lot of people like who have an alcohol problem drinking. The way we see it, it's more like it's like a bottle of wine. You know what I mean? It's like a nice bottle of wine. As I said, like the people that come in and buy like the 14% beers, they're not drinking it to get drunk. They're drinking it because it's the flavour profiles, it's the way it tastes, it's the care and the love that's gone into it by a brewer that's only made like 100 cans of this, and we've managed to get hold of 2. It's kind of that sort of thing rather than
price point as well for that kind of beer would be around 15 to 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So
I suppose
you're not gonna buy loads.
my just initial concern is, and I'll ask Frank to come in now, is that if we have other places within Rainham that are limited at the 6.5%, if people then realise there's another place that's available where they can walk in and grab something to take out, which is much higher, even though the price range would probably put them off, but it may not. The difference on that, Franco, have we other premises in Rainham that are at a limit?
I think we have another premises. Is it the Prince of Ales?
Yeah.
The micro pubs. I mean, there is another one in the area, and I think the customer profile. And I'm talking from experience. I think in micro pubs, it does reflect what the applicant is putting forward. It's something to be savoured rather than to be supplied to people that just want to get drunk. To be perfectly honest.
I think I was asking more around, and that's really helpful. Thanks, Franco. I think I was asking more around, are other pubs limited to the certain levels, which I don't think they would be, probably.
No, I mean, if we was to consider some other areas that have maybe a stress area profile or a cumulative impact, there isn't anything like that in the Rainham area at the moment.
You don't have to answer it, Jamie, but I presume if you had like loads of people coming in asking for crates of it to take out on a takeaway, you might be asking questions probably. If you saw a big lorry, well, you probably think it's really good lorry turn up. But I think I've got my answer. There'll be other places in the area that are not at that limit, so we're okay with that. Okay, I think I'm done on that. Anything from you, Franco, with the applicant?
Just for the benefit of the process, we've got 2 complaints on file. The most recent one was the one that's been referred to in this instance, and that was resolved satisfactorily with the Neighbourhood Watch coordinator being provided contact details and an email address. And my colleague that was dealing with it at the time was basically of the view that there is genuinely an interest to assist in dealing with the complaints. So that's come through independently from what's happened. I just wanted to put that in there as well. But no, thank you, Chair.
Okay, I mean, that's really helpful. That's really helpful to know. I suppose the only thing I would ask you again is just to consider, if it's agreed today, to consider that aspect, especially over the next few months, to make sure that people can come in and have their, not too much, but have their view. But I'm sure they'd go through to licensing if there was anyway. But it has to be serious for it to come back here.
Can I elaborate on that, Bill?
Yeah, go, Joe, go on.
We have made contact with Samantha, and we have tried. Obviously, Christmas got in the way of both our schedules, and we have tried to arrange a sit down. And I think we are in the next week or so, just to start that line of communication, because I don't think they want to harm our business, and we don't want to harm their peace. So, a lot of communication and talking I think will solve that issue there straight away.
And just to be clear, from a committee perspective, we try to be supportive of the trade and the residents as well. And I know you can't always please everyone all of the time, but it's just being you are a local business. Rainham is that sort of area that really embraces and encourages their businesses that are opening rather than an empty high street, for example. So we should be looking at that. Okay, nothing else from members? Okay.
Sorry.
Councillor Scott.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can ask this, but your premises in Rochester, does that sell the sort of higher percentage of beer as well? Okay, thank you.
You haven't got any objectors, because there's no objectors for you to ask questions of here. So I've asked if anyone wants to add anything further. Anything? Do you want to just close with anything at all, or are you okay with what you've done? Okay.
I just wanted to add that our staff training, we are quite strict on refusal of service. So we are going for a very specific atmosphere in our pubs, like Rochester and Raynham, where we really tend not to have trouble. Basically, our staff are really well trained on how to refuse service to people, how to diffuse situations, the price point as well. Like you can't get drunk in our pubs for 20 quid. Like it costs. If you're going to do it, it would cost a lot more than that. And I just think that it's just not really. We're quite hot on it, basically. And so if there was someone coming in trying to buy a crate of 14% beers, they wouldn't get sold it on principle. Just wanted to add.
And I presume you get your regulars as well, so you build up a regular base. Okay, I'm content with all the questions. Can I ask a member to move the exclusion, please, of press? So we're moving exclusion of
Agenda item 7.
Thank you, of press and public. Can I ask you to please leave the room, and officers leave the room? We will be making a decision this morning, so we won't keep you that long, hopefully. Okay, thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for attending this morning. I know you put your coats on probably to get a bit of fresh air, and I've called you back in, so sorry about that. Just one quick clarification. We've noted that you agreed the 3:30 a.m., not the 4 a.m. So I need to make sure that that's clarified, which we've agreed. And I just wanted to say that the panel is allowing the full variation as in the paperwork, and you will get that written decision within 5 working days. So, and you know, we are very keen to listen to neighbours and to residents, but we also want to support local business as well. But one observation, you don't have to take it. It's just a parting point from me is just have a little think about that resident community intervention, especially in places like Rainham where there is a very strong resident involvement. That you don't have to take that as a point to go off with, but that would be a parting point from me. Just so it saves you coming in with another complaint that may come up in the future if needed. Okay, but well done. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming today. Thanks a lot. Thank you.